Anti-Society, welcome back to the Antisocial Planet. Today we are checking out P1Harmony's Sad Song album, and I'm a little bit nervous going into this, I'm gonna be honest, in a good way. Like, it's this nervous, giddy energy, if that makes sense, because on the one hand, hearing the single Sad Song and them shaking up the vibe of their sound and some of the performances that we're getting, even like aesthetically in the way that the music video was put together, right? It just had a bit of a darker tone to it than I feel like I've seen in other ones, like this kind of different muted color palette from them. So I'm excited to see what they're going to be pulling out on this album, and moving on from getting their first full-length album, what they're going to be doing sonically in it. But also it's called Sad Song, and it seems like we're going through some stuff in the lyrics of the song Sad Song, let alone even in Killing It. I'm like, I feel like y'all went through some stuff in this album, because there's a lot of stuff going on in the lyrics of the Killing It album. So I'm a little bit uneasy. But our first song is It's All Right. Is that truthful and reassuring, or is that a like strange kind of sarcastic take on what's going on? I don't know. We're just gonna get into the album though, because we're gonna be here a hot minute. It's all right. Is it though? I feel like it's not. I feel like sonically it might be a bop, like Sad Song was, but I feel like lyrically it may not be all right. Ooh. Love the vocal sample. Kyo, please. Ooh, okay. Interesting. Again, like a different feel with the production, like genre inspiration for the song, which I think is really fun too, to be bringing in other influences into what they're doing sonically. I need Kyo to just like dial back. I've said it before, I have a lot of talent aggression when it comes to Kyo. He's just too good of a singer that I feel offended that he has the audacity, right? In my presence. No. But I loved Jung's part where he like picked up some of the cadence. That was like a fun mix up, especially with Kyo lengthening out some of the sounds in his lines. The little like cry in his voice. Oh my god. Ooh, sorry, I didn't interrupt immediately because I feel like we're going to the chorus, but that shift in the melody there, like a little bit like haunting, a little bit dark, especially since we have Wake Up the Light hidden in my heart. If you don't know, now you know. Like that shift to this like darker, more like ominous sound is really interesting with as the line goes on, especially since like we've had everything crumbling down, talking about like words like over, I didn't expect anything else or whatever. Like the lyrics feel like the end of something, whatever that may be. We had Sad Song before this, and then this feels, again, like I was saying in some of the songs in Killing It, I was like, this feels a little bit like someone crashing out of it. This feeling of the facade is everything's all right, everything's okay, and underneath of it is like this kind of panicked, almost frantic need to like repair everything so no one finds out. And then this album feels a bit more like sitting in it, of being like, oh well, the everything is fine meme, right? Of everything's on fire and everything feels terrible, and I guess we're here now, right? Like I feel like that's some of what this album feels like it's getting. Like this song saying it's all right, but from this place of everything is completely fallen apart, so oh well. Interesting again to have that shift into this darker, ominous tone. His voice too. Ugh. Ooh, I love getting into a deeper tone. Ooh. Oh, I love the little like yodel. We had a little bit of that with Jeong's part, and then having Kyo bring some of that in. He like Jeong's part, he had a little bit more of a cry in it. Like it was like him putting like a bit of vocal fry, whereas like Kyo's feels more like putting in a yodel. I don't know if I've ever heard him like intentionally do that. He has points where he'll put cries in it, but I don't know if I've heard anything quite as close to a yodel effect in his voice. But I like that because it's like this release of tension, right? That's how you get that yodel, is you're like starting off with a bunch of tension and you're letting it go, and it's creating that kind of yodel thing. So it's like letting go of tension, but also having this like rapid, because you're doing that, the more tension you have in your vocal cords, the higher the note's going to be. The less tension you have, the lower the note's going to be. So that's how you get that yodel effect, right? It's that rapid shift in that like tension and that higher range to a lower range. So it's like this little like up and down in his voice, right? Like this rapid up and down and like tension and release, which I feel like is a great way of communicating some of the stuff they're going into with the lyrical content of this, of I'm my own friend, right? They're talking about, hey, at least one person understands how much I tried. So one person understands how much I worked for this. One person understands like everything that I've been through, right? It feels like I'm not lonely because I have me. So it's this strange feeling of like isolation, but also trying to comfort oneself. At least I care about me, which again, I feel like is this like continuation of some of the stuff that I was getting in the Killin' It album, which had this feeling of between all of the kind of hype songs, there were all of these songs that felt very like isolating and stuck in one's own head, right? Like Late Night Calls and Love Song, these songs that felt more like introspective, but also like lonely and isolated. And I think that it's interesting to go from that of wanting to communicate with someone and feel those connections with other people and having trouble like making that link, making that communication, and then shifting into this song, which is I have me, so it's okay. And I feel because this is at the beginning of the album, we might be exploring some of that a little bit, because it's one thing to be like okay with yourself and to have self-love and to be okay on your own. I think that we all have to figure out how to spend time by ourselves and not have it be like terrible. I'm an introvert. I love spending time with myself. I think I'm great. But there's a difference between being okay with yourself in a place of like self-love and compassion and isolating yourself because you're afraid of what will happen if you connect with someone else. You're afraid of getting hurt, even if I get bitten, even if I get torn. It's coming from this place of it feels like you're intentionally isolating yourself because you're afraid of being hurt again. Maybe that's what I'm getting so far. But I love this who cares, isolated, right? As in, oh, who cares? Whatever. You can think or feel or do whatever you want. I'm going to be in my own world taking care of myself. But then I'll also the full sentence of I don't wonder who cares, of I'm closing myself off from people who do legitimately care about me, right? From people who do want to help me and be there to support me. And I'm closing myself off from that. Does that make sense? I feel like we're dealing with some complexities in this one. Ooh, interesting too. I think also interesting going from some of the stuff that Intak had in his verses in Sad Song, pulling into this one. He had that kind of like bitter laugh in that song and him being like, I don't want this person in my life anymore. And then having this like shift of, was it like something about like their eyes or something? Like this kind of like being pulled back in either that person's like orbit or the memories or what could have been or like what you thought being connected with that person was going to be, the like fantasy versus the bitter reality. So I think it's interesting to have some of that coming through in this one of you were always like that. Right? This idea of even though I had an image in my head of who you were or who you could have been, the person that you turned out to be, that was always who you were. I'm just seeing through the rose-tinted glasses to who you've always been. And I'm not the only one who should be hurting. Like, how come I'm the only one who has gotten like the short end of the stick in this, right? And the like solo that shines and ending the line with the word solo, right? Because of the kind of like word arrangement, right? So this idea of shifting into being okay with being by yourself, but again, also from this place of like intentionally isolating yourself. The like hero comes back again. I think that's interesting too, because we've had lots of stuff about heroes in their lyrics, storyline related things, which I'm avoiding. I know I had someone in my sad song reaction say, oh, you love their lore. I know about their lore. I'm intentionally not talking about it in my reactions because I don't know how to summarize everything that I think and feel of all of the stuff that I have not made reactions to, because I've been listening to their stuff for years. And I'm like, I have no way of condensing that down into something coherent to shoehorn into a reaction. But having the hero of like almost hero for yourself as opposed to someone else, and like wanting to look out for yourself and stand up for yourself. Like when you ping, I think it's also interesting because like we've had lots of message and like texting and reaching out to someone throughout their songs, but also specifically the junk subs part. And you come into my world because you're alone, right? This person who like won't let go of like pulling you in, right? Because they don't want to be alone. And you're like, nope, I'm isolating myself. I'm being okay with being alone because I'd rather not get hurt again. Sorry, we're gonna do it again. Oof. The bass is crazy too with the drums. Kyo, stop. In the back. Beautiful vibrato. Ooh, I love having Theo on that second chorus because he brings like a different energy to it, especially in contrast to Kyo's. I think that's really cool because Theo has like such a like bright, like pingy sound, right? It cuts through so much of the production. And I think that it just adds a certain energy. It has this gorgeous falsetto earlier on, and then having him pulling more into that like mixed range to just have a little bit more of this energy and like almost like bite to the sound because it's like cutting through all of the music, all of the noise, and it's just like very forward. I think that it's a really nice sound, especially for the narrative of the song and like the energy building up. That vocal run? Sir. Will that roll the sound? No one can stop us. Nobody knows it's Oof. I know I'm interrupting. I know we're building up to some stuff. We go back for soul vocals. And I think, honestly, I think that they've been utilizing him really well in recent songs. I know that he has like his own thoughts on having vocal lines. I know that they try to give him like at least something in the songs because, you know, that he's like on the records and stuff for when they get like stream numbers and all of that. But I think that they've been utilizing his voice really well in like recent stuff of having him help control the energy of the songs. And I think that it works really well here to soften out some of the sound because we're having like some of this buildup of like energy of don't worry about everything. I'm so nervous. I'm going crazy. Like this buildup of inner conflict and almost like realizing that isolating yourself isn't going to turn out the way that you think it will, right? Because it's not good to like fully isolate and close yourself off and not know about people who legitimately care about you and want to look out for you. And then having Soul's lighter vocals come in are a great way of contrasting it. Adds like of some like vulnerability, some softness to the overall sound, which I think is really good. No one can stop us. Nobody knows it's the lyrics though. Like we can't go back. Ooh, vocal. Hang on. I'm sorry, Kiho darling. I'm sorry. Jiyoung in the back. Sir, I thought we were done. I was like, vocal. And then he was like, hang on, I'm gonna just turn this up a little bit. Oh, sir. Sir. And then he's like, I'm gonna dig into my lower range now. Kyo. Ooh, several things. The vocals were going off at the end there, which I know that they can vocal. Okay. Love that we had this almost like haunting vocal that was like in the back. It might have been Kyo doing it for his own part, but just like haunting sounding, like the melody of it, which I think again fits with this, of this kind of like lonely, isolating, like almost bitter place, right? It very much feels like there's this like sarcastic, almost cynical edge to it's all right. That's cool. It's all right. Like, even if I'll smile, even if you don't know, right? I'm going to smile through all of this. I want to make sure that you don't know how much you've hurt me because you don't deserve it. Like, why am I the only one hurting? So I'm not going to let any of it show. I'm going to pull back. I'm not going to let anybody hurt me. I'm going to be all right because the alternative is having to deal with the fact that I feel terrible. Having that like haunting vocal in the back buried behind these words of, I don't wonder who cares. And then having this kind of haunting vocal behind it, I think is very symbolic of the song. And then having the last, it's all right. There's a little bit of a grit to Jung's voice in that part. And I feel like, again, that's just almost like a little bit of bite to that word, right? Of saying, it's all right. Don't ask me how I'm feeling. Don't come back into my life. Everything's fine. Get out of my face. Get out of my world. Let me live. Move on. I'm definitely moving on. I'm not lost in how I'm feeling. Like, it has this very interesting feeling to it, especially after something like Sad Song. The whole EP is called Sad Song. Makes me very interested to see where we're going with the rest of the album, because if that's the vibe, it feels like an evolution of Killing It, which I love. I love that they're building on some of the ideas. And they've always done a good job of that, of pulling these threads through their albums, but it definitely feels like we're getting into a little bit of a darker territory with their lyrical content, especially going off of Killing It, right? I feel like Killing It was dipping its toe in some of the stuff, and they've definitely had moments throughout their music where they've leaned into some of those darker stuff, but there's like a difference between a darker tone or a darker aesthetic and like actually digging into some of those like grittiness and some of the like less polished parts of the emotions that they're exploring, right? Like the bitterness of being hurt is a very different emotion than writing a sad song, right? Ironically, but there's like writing a sad song because you're talking about the hurt, you're sitting in the hurt, you're experiencing that hurt, and then there's like digging into that bitterness and anger and like pulling yourself together even though everything's crumbling down, because you don't want that person to know that they've hurt you the way that they have. You're not going to take the high road on this, and you're just like, you're holding on to it. It's like there's this resentment to it, and I think that is a much grittier, quite frankly, like uglier feeling, right? Than writing like a beautiful sad ballad to instead dig into some of that bitterness instead. But I love it. I think that it's a great sound that they're digging into, and I like that they're bringing some of that into their music, especially as they start to be more involved with the music. I don't know how much they were in this one. I know in Killing It they were definitely more involved in the writing of that and putting that album together. So as they get more freedom or like more influence on what their music is going to sound like, I think that it's only natural that they're going to be digging into some of that, even just like having more of a career, right? Like having their first full album under their belt. There's a little more freedom there of just like security of knowing that you can dig into some of those grittier feelings, and you're still going to have a bunch of fun songs that you can perform at like other events and shows and things like that. So I am very intrigued by how the rest of this album's going to go, because that was a great song. The vocals were great on it too. Last Call. Again, interesting. We had late night calls. Now we have Last Call. Don't know what that's going to mean though. It feels like we're going through some stuff. Again, like I don't know who hurt y'all, but I'm sorry. Ooh. Don't give me a guitar right off the bat.
get away, I'm paranoid. 신적 없이 왔던 내 매일 속에 붙여서 멈춤. 잠들 시간만 되면 난 떠올려. 아마 똑같은 날들이 problem. 아무렇지 않게 웃어봐도 버릴 수 없는 마음. 오늘 끝자락에 남겨진 나의 꿈.
Oh, I'm sorry, sweetie. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I feel overwhelmed. Okay, how do I explain this in a way that doesn't make me sound a little bit crazy? You know when a song is so in the pocket of what you love that it makes you emotional? That's where I'm at. I feel like crying. I know that the lyrics are like heavy and there's like stuff going on with that. That is not why I feel like crying. I feel like crying because this song, I think this might be my favorite song on the album. I know we're just starting and I may eat those words, but I can feel a new favorite song coming of like their whole discography. It is an overwhelming feeling that I'm at, and I just need to recalibrate so that I don't like cry because I am too in love with the song immediately. The guitar, the bass, this like pop rock influence, the vocals, and like the lyrical. Okay, let's actually go through some lyrical content. Okay, paranoid, and then having the voice in the back. I think that's like a cool effect of describing that. I put stop in my everyday life that I've never rested in. I know the translations are not going to be one-to-one, but that's a bar of putting stop in your like every day. It's like needing everything to stop. And like I'm saying, it feels like this is a whole journey of a bunch of stuff happening and they've reached this breaking point with these first couple of songs of this album. And this is them being almost like, hey, I can't. Okay, stop to everything. I can't do it. And even though like I've never rested in of this idea, partly could be just like doing a bunch of stuff, right? They've done a lot of stuff over the years, right? They've been doing this for a hot minute of being P1Harmony, being idols. Lots of get up and go and rush around that they've been doing with their lives. But also when you're dealing with a lot of stuff, even though you're like exhausted because you're spending all this like emotional energy on the stuff going on, right? You can't really rest because you're still thinking about it, right? When you have overwhelming stuff going on in your life, it's constantly in your brain. You're always thinking about it. You're always on this high alert that something might happen, or you're gonna have to deal with something. You're gonna have to put out little fires or big fires of what's going on in your life, right? You're in this like constant crisis mode. And I feel like that is harkening back to the first line of Paranoid, right? That's like the first full line of this song besides that little like bit at the intro. Once we get into the verses, the first word is paranoid, right? So when you're living in that state of this vigilance of making sure that nothing more is falling apart around you, you can't rest, right? You can't actually fully recharge your like emotional energy to deal with stuff because you're never fully letting go of the things that are causing you all of this turmoil. So I love this idea of like, stop. I can't. I need a break. Everything needs to calm down. And I feel like that's digging into some of this like fun instrumentation in the song. Like it feels like uplifting and has a bit of an optimistic feeling in the production of it. And I feel like some of that's being like, hey, I can't do this. I need this to stop and I need to just take a break, a little vacation for myself. Whenever it's time to go to bed, I think about it, right? Like even when you're supposed to be falling asleep and it's, I can't. Problem every day, right? There's always something that I'm having to deal with. My dream that will be left at the end of the day. Again, dream, sleep, end of the day, love that imagery, but also like getting lost in problem solving. And I can't abandon like my heart, my dream, the thing that keeps me going. And I feel like I'm doing that because I'm focusing too much on all of these other things that are going on. So I can't remember what's motivating me, right? If you're constantly dealing with the turmoil of stuff going on and having to problem solve, and there always feels like there's some kind of obstacle getting in the way, you can lose sight of what you're even doing this for because you're just constantly moving, right? Like you're constantly just trying to keep things afloat that you lose sight of what are you even trying to get to. So I love bringing that into, I just, for personal reasons, am going to start it again because I think I might need to live with this song for the rest of my life. I haven't even got to the chorus and I feel very strongly about this. The drums too. Love the layered vocals too. That vocal run.
I know what you want. 지금 모든 건 blah 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 blah.
Oh. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa. I was already like, we have to go back for soul vocals. It was very sweet. I like that he got a little bit into his lower range. And then In Talk went too fast. I can't read that faster. I'm already overwhelmed by just like the sonic nature of the song. I need you not to throw that much at me all at once. Okay, hang on. I'm gonna go back and listen to you, sweetie, but we're gonna just go through these lyrics because I can't keep up before we go back and listen. Okay, so calendar text turned red. I'm assuming like being busy, calendar's full, or like something that was like overdue, right? If you have something on your calendar and like you miss it, maybe I'm just speaking from experience. Yeah, the let's drive a little slower. Again, like overdue could be like taking a rest. Right? Of being like, oh, I'll do that later. I'll do that later. I'll relax later because I'm going after my dream or like what I want. And it's like you get to, again, that breaking point and being like, oh, no, that's overdue now. And it needs to be put on the calendar properly. And I need to stick to it. And again, say like a truck. Again, translation is going to be what it is. I don't know if there's a saying that translates into like Korean, but I know in English there's a saying that I feel like you've been hit by a truck is when, you know, something happens suddenly. And sometimes that's just you break down a little bit and it feels like it comes out of nowhere, even though there are warning signs. And now you're like, I have to deal with this now. Like I'm being forced to take time for myself, to recalibrate, to rework my schedule because I have to deal with this now. And then like, it's okay, let's drive a little slower. And being like, hey, we don't have to keep going. And I think that's interesting that he had like such a fast cadence for that, a delivery to that. And then being like, let's slow down. It was like fast. And then he's like, let's slow down a bit. We can't keep doing this. Ooh, I love this song already. We're going to be on a hot minute.
I know what you want. 지금 모든 건 blah 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 blah. 오늘은 내일이 사라져. 시계 빨간 불이 들어오는데도 멈추는 법을 몰라. 세번 달린 줄 알아. 괜찮아, 좀 천천히 달리자. 저 위로 던져버려. 내일이 뭐든 I don't care. 이 밤은 전부 stop it light. 끝나지 않게 빈잔을 들어줘. Doesn't matter.
What is this glitching? I am overwhelmed by the song, by this chorus, by the lyrics. I get the last call of being like, last call in terms of like when you go to a bar, last call is like the end of the night, right? It's like the last like hurrah, and that being brought into some of the lyrical content of like partying and like letting loose. I also feel like with Soul's vocal, everything is like blah blah blah. I know what you want, but everything is just, it's too much. Like I don't have the energy, the thought process, right, to be able to deal with anything else. And being like, I need to just step away and have fun and leave it for a second. But also I think like last call in terms of like the end of something, right? I don't know if I can word this properly. We have all these kind of like warning signs, right? Of like someone getting to a breaking point. And this is like the last call, right? The last kind of warning sign, the last moment of being able to do something about it before you pass like this point of no return, right? Where you need to like step back, not be dealing with the problems that are going on, and let yourself just have a moment where you're not thinking about it, right? Where you're not worrying about it, you're not fixing things, you're not contemplating all of it. You could just take a second and have fun, reconnect a little bit, or disconnect. Hey, I'm not here to judge anybody who needs a little moment. It's like, I need to just have fun, right? I need to just not care. Like the saying, whatever tomorrow is, I don't care. Like I need to not be worrying about this. I need to not be thinking about tomorrow. I need to not be fixing problems. Last call is like this last chance to have a second. Because if I don't take this now, I'm gonna fall apart. Maybe? I don't know. The production, the instrumentation, the guitars with the drums and the bass lines. I feel a lot of things and I don't know what to do with any of them. I'm trying to move on, okay? I understand that this video is already gonna be super long. And if I spend the time that I want with this song, we'll be here in absolute eternity. So I'm just gonna let it play.
좀 천천히 달리자. 저 위로 던져버려. 내일이 뭐든 I don't care.
Oh, vocals. See, like, worries are not allowed. But like, hey, let's figure out how we can get a ride home. And again, I love how we had a bunch of different heavier things in the lyrics at the beginning of this, the first verse, and then we've shifted into something that's more no worries allowed. We're not allowed. So it's just, and having these like layered vocals too, again, like having this feeling of a crowd shouting together, this like group together, all the like glitching and even like fun little vocal ad-lib things, like bringing in some of the humor that I feel like P1Harmony songs have. So it's like, hey, it's been heavy for the first couple of songs of this album. Let's take a beat. Let's have some fun, because I think that's part of the journey too, right? Like, it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to understand your feelings. It's okay to sit with yourself and figure out, like, why am I feeling the way that I'm feeling and what is causing it? But you also need to give yourself a break. It's okay to just be like, I need to step away and have some fun and pretend for a little while that I don't have to fix something. Definitely been there. And I think that it's fun how like the music is like picking up. It feels like a little bit more upbeat. We had some optimism at the beginning, but it feels a little more like fun and whimsical now. And then having some of that in the lyrical content too, especially having Jungsub and Intok taking the lines there, they tend to have a lot of fun with their delivery too. So I think that choosing those voices is a really good way of bringing in some of that kind of like humor into the lyrics as well. Ew. Oh, before we get into it, Theo's voice. Well, this line, sometimes I need time to hug myself. Agreed. But I think that kind of goes into what I was saying of sometimes you need to give yourself a break, but sometimes you also need to just, again, need to realize that like taking care of yourself is also just as important as like fixing the problems, dealing with the stuff that's going on. I think that we can get so focused on stuff that's going on externally that we don't take a beat to be like, how do I feel? And when you get to a point like earlier on the song where you cannot actually rest, you're like not properly recharging after going through a bunch of stuff, like you can't sleep properly, you're like constantly thinking about this thing, that's gonna sneak up on you. You're not checking in to be like, oh, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I need to take a minute for myself. And then we had the line about thoughts that keep piling up, but then they're like, we're Jenga? Yeah, our Jenga, we fall down while being picked. Like this idea of, hey, if you keep like picking at the problem, right? If you keep like pulling away blocks without putting them back, everything's gonna fall apart. I love this song. Oh, it's gonna be a problem. If you notice a spike in the streaming numbers of this song after I'm done this video, mind your business. Just move on your way, okay? It's fine. I love the vocals in the back too. I know I'm interrupting the drum fill there. I was not expecting us to not continue with the chorus there, like this like shift. And I think that is so in line with the song too of this, let's just keep moving, right? This idea of, nope, We're not focusing on things. We're just moving forward. Like the momentum of this song, I think fits with it so well. Of it has this feeling of running away from what you're dealing with. And I feel like that's like maybe not the right words because that has a kind of a negative connotation to it. And I feel like this is definitely from this positive place of you deserve a break. You deserve to have a little bit of fun, even when it feels like everything is crumbling down around you. You deserve to find something that like makes you happy, smile, reminds you of who you are and like what you're even doing all of this for, right? It's okay to take a breath and have some fun. And they're comparing that to last call, parties, dancing, that kind of stuff. But the main like sentiment is it's okay to just find something that makes you happy and let yourself get lost in that for a second. Leave the thing that is causing all these issues, leave it, and just let yourself have a moment. And then having the chorus like not continue, it just like immediately goes in. The bridge part I think is so interesting too. It's okay, something new. Nope, we're not focusing on that. Something new. Keeping that momentum going forward. God, the guitars. Ooh. Is it Jung again? Sir. I don't think I have to justify where we're going back. I don't think I have to justify where we're going back. You know why. Where's the scream out? It definitely is Jung again. I don't even know what to say. I feel like crying, which I feel like is probably not the point of the song. It's supposed to be like comforting, and also it's okay to just let yourself have fun, but I love that song too much. Okay, the vocals in the back. And then I think at one point, I think Kyo just did a vocal run like way down in range. And that's why I'm saying I'm assuming it's Kyo. I don't know what Jung is on this album, but I know he can sing. I've heard it. I understand. Some of my favorite vocal parts in their discography are him. I need him to calm down on his vocals. No, because I was already emotional. And then you're like, hang on, I got this one. Thoughts, summaries of thoughts. I think that this song is really interesting after It's Alright, because that felt very much like this closing off, right? This like pulling inward, closing oneself off, isolating oneself, and then having that lyric of, hey, scream out the things that have been building up, right? Let's unravel all of the thoughts that have been building up. Let's have that outlet of just scream out, right? Like I feel like anyone who has been through a lot of tough stuff happening one after the other, right? Like it starts to build and you feel like everything is falling apart around you, has had a moment where you're like, I just want to scream and break something, right? Like you just need an outlet for all of the stuff that you've been holding together because you need to deal with the problem. And having that outlet is something that you're just like craving so much that having this outlet of, hey, go somewhere like loud and vibrant and let yourself like sing at the top of your lungs and dance and lose yourself in the moment because you just need an outlet of something for everything that you're going through. And like also let yourself have fun. And like the last line being like smile again, I think is so in line with that, because before in It's Alright, it had this feeling of I'm gonna smile through it so you can't understand how much I'm hurting inside, whereas this is give me a smile, smile again, of let's actually be happy, right? Let's have a moment of happiness, even if it's like just for one night, even if it's just because like we're out in like at a party or drinking, or because we're ignoring what's happening in the world, right? Whatever version of this you want to take to apply to your own life, as long as you have a moment where you're actually smiling and you're actually happy, that's the goal of this, right? Because you've gotten to a point where you're like, I'm not smiling because I'm happy, I'm smiling because I'm trying to just keep everything together and get through it. And I've definitely had that moment as someone who has had tons of ups and downs with mental health stuff and dealing with a lot, which is not something I'm going to go into detail about because that's for my therapist. But I remember having a moment where I was just like watching a video and I laughed, and I had a moment of shock because I was like, I don't remember the last time I laughed at something because it was funny. I just remember like laughing because I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to laugh because someone told a joke. And that's like looking around at other people, I'm like, oh, they're laughing, I'm supposed to be laughing. That was like where I had gotten. And so having this feeling of, oh, I can laugh again, I can smile again. I feel like anyone who has gone through a tough time and you get to that moment where you realize that you're smiling or you're laughing because you're actually happy and you actually want to smile, you're like, oh, that's what that feels like. And I think that's what this song is pulling from, right? All of the lead up of like Sad Song and It's All Right, getting to this of being like, last call, we can have the kind of party drinking bar imagery of that, but also they're like, hey, if I don't do something to make myself happy, this is going to get dark really quick. So this is like the call out to be like, hey, do something that makes you happy because you deserve it. Just because you deserve to be happy, you deserve to smile. I am in love with this song. I'm in love with it. I want to say it's my favorite song on the album. It might be my favorite song in their discography, which is like a high bar. Okay, it has been Mirror Mirror for ever since that song came out. But I'm reconsidering. And that has to be a pretty good song for me to reconsider. There's still some songs on this album, but like they're gonna have to really show up if they want to compete with this one. Okay, welcome to. I was wondering about this song title because it's like in the middle of the album. I'm like, welcome in the middle of the album. But it makes sense now because in the context of this, of starting with Sad Song and It's All Right, of this like hitting a low point, right? Everything crumbling apart, hitting this breaking point in the story, and then having Last Call be like, okay, we have to fix it. We got to dig ourselves out of this and do something to make ourselves happy again and remind us of why we're doing what we're doing, right? Whether that's like following your dream, remembering your heart, remembering who you are, right? We need to pull that forward because getting lost in all of the turmoil of everything that's going on, it's not enough to sustain anyone. So Welcome To feels like them being like, hey, time to start over. I am resisting the urge to start singing Reset really badly. But you understand the vibe, right? This idea of, okay, we've recalibrated, we've let ourselves have a moment of just carefree, we're dropping everything, and now we get to start to put the pieces back together, right? Now we're realizing that we can't keep going the way that we are. So Welcome To? Maybe? I don't know.
Welcome to. Here we go again.
Love that overlap.
We're rocking and rolling. No one not 줄이면 무엇이든 no doubt. Everybody yelling, 고막 is rolling. 터지는 함성과 방출같이 don't stop. Just keep going. 멈추지 마 이 drawing. 그저 제너같이 나를 따라와 just drawing. 어린 동절 멈춰나 뭐해? What's that? What's that? 본 적 있어 확신해. 백업밖에 post peaceful brightest hashtag 맞추네.
Ooh, wait, shout out. But love this Welcome to like chapter 2. I was already saying going into this, I'm like, okay, we have the first full-length album with Killin' It, and it feels like they're stepping into a new kind of era, both like sonically and like aesthetically. Like it feels like they're rebooting things a little bit, even though Killin' It already felt like a step forward. This definitely feels like they're trying to like really experiment some more, but also like bringing like the guitars. Love the like snappier delivery that we have from Inthok. He's getting like a little bit more of his some of the cadences that he had in like previous songs that are like a little bit more like snappy, right, as the album goes on, which I really like. Like it's kind of like fitting back into who they are, right? Again, if we're having a moment of recalibrating and remembering who you are and why you're doing stuff, them kind of settling back into some of the sound that we're used to hearing from them. Because I've already said with the like first songs, even I didn't mention it, but Last Call, I'm like, oh, this feels different. Like they've definitely had rock influences in their music, but it's never fit quite as much into that like pop rock bucket as it did with that song. And that's been like all of the first 3 songs of this album. It feels like they're experimenting with like other influences and leaning a little bit more into like fully sounding like those like genres and influences as opposed to dabbling in them. And this feels like maybe we're pulling back like a little bit into what I'm used to hearing from them. Maybe. Haven't heard enough yet though. Even like synth in the back. I love the call response.
터지는 함성과 방출같이 don't stop. Just keep going. 멈추지 마 이 drawing. 그저 제너같이 나를 따라와 just drawing. 어린 동절 멈춰나 뭐해? What's that? What's that? 본 적 있어 확신해. 백업밖에 post peaceful brightest hashtag 맞추네. 다시 함께 범인 us. Here's your invitation.
Oh. Ooh, I know know I'm interrupting, but Theo's vocals, all of them, all of the vocals. But I feel like he's reaching out and snatching my soul so many times. Like, I went through like Sad Song where like he came in like late in the song and I was like, oh, look at you showing up. And then like the rest of these songs, he's just, I was saving it. I was saving it to be a showstopper. But I love that this is your invitation, like peaceful. Again, shout out to like their fans and peace and all of that, being like pastels and stuff, like bringing in some of this like light again after some more of the darkness that we've seen. And this idea of, hey, remember who you are and like stop being dumbfounded, like, what are you doing, what's that, like, instead of being lost and constantly pulled around, just be like, it's okay to just take a beat, remember who you are, and find the brightness, find like the light, right? Vocals in the back. Heal. Same, yes. Whoa, hold your horses. Whoa, okay. Vocals. Kyo, sir, take a seat. You don't need to be like that, okay? Love like the sentiment that like can't be highs without lows. Feels like what this whole album has been is like, hey, here's like the lows, probably like the darkest, grungiest I've heard from them, and then them being like, all right, we gotta recalibrate. So it's almost like we started off at the lowest points and we're starting to build back up into some of those highs as we get to the end of the album. And like all you need is like one yes when the rest say no is like the next line. Yeah, all you need is one yes when they all say no. It's like, hey, you just need like one win, right? Like I was saying in the last song, you just need a moment in which you smile because you mean it, or you laugh because you mean it, right? You need to have the one victory and let yourself acknowledge that you've had that victory. And I love that's coming through with some of this. I love the vocals like all together, collective, coming in with those like collective vocals throughout this of, hey, you're not actually isolated. You're not actually alone, right? There are people around who have felt the same way as you, who are there to support you, even if it's just like them encouraging you, right? If you're a fan of them and listening to their music is something that is going to lift you up and make you happy and have that moment where you can just sing and dance along to their songs. And that is like your moment in which you get to remember what it feels to be all right, to be happy, to not get caught up in everything that you're going through. The guitar in the back. It feels cinematic. I have too much. I have too much I want to say. I didn't want to interrupt him though. Okay. Whoa. Okay, dunks up. Calm yourself, sir. The whoa, there are stars above my head. I love that of being like, oh, there's these points of light, or wishing on stars, or like the heights above your head. Oh yeah, I remember that I'm reaching for those stars. Oh yeah, I remember that I have like wishes and aspirations. Oh yeah, I remember that there are these points of light in the darkness. Like brightness haphazardly. Also the like boom boom, we've or had that in other stuff, but also it makes me think of some of like their earlier songs that like onomatopoeia coming through. The like rocket ship, and then we have this like synth, but it sounds like a like countdown, right? Which I think is great for bringing in like the rocket like countdown of something like blasting off. And then like Planet Oxygen, I feel like that is part of it too, and be like, hey, again, take like the wins, right? Like, take the fact that we're here and we're breathing and you can see like stars, you can have aspirations, remember that you have like dreams, and like connect with that and not let yourself be like overwhelmed by all of the stuff that is going on. Yeah, like the long road is a little exhausting. It's a little exhausting, but like also allow yourself to have a moment, right? Dang, even just all the solar system, like space imagery, But it's like, even when it feels like overwhelming, right? Like even when it feels like everything is falling apart, right? It's like outside the star's orbit or something better, moving past it. Like even when it feels like this cosmic disaster, right? When you're going through something, it's like remembering that there's still things worth doing and acknowledging and allowing yourself to go beyond that, right? Like remembering that you have aspirations that are above all of that, like getting in a rocket ship and flying off. Is remember that what's happening right in front of you, what is going on in the immediate, is not the only thing that your life is going to be, right? There's a before and there's going to be an after, and the things that fuel you, your dreams, your heart, your soul, the things that bring you joy, those are the things that you're aiming for, and those are all above that, right? Those are all like beyond where you are right now, and you have to keep sight of that, right? You need to remember that you have this like faraway future that you can envision, and that is going to help pull you through that, right? Like you're going into this next chapter because this terrible, horrific thing that might have happened to you in this difficult time that you've gone through, this low that you found yourself in, guess what? You survived it, right? Guess what? You're still here. Guess what? You can still picture those aspirations, which means that this is chapter 2, right? This is the next step. You get to put yourself back together, reinvent yourself, and continue forward, right? Take it as the opportunity that it is. I'm just gonna go back a little bit. Let it play. I like the little like growl in his voice too for that. And then all smooths out. Ooh, good little vocal run there. Ooh, I know I'm interrupting, but I was also thinking, I like that the chorus in this kind of slows down, right? Like it has this feeling of drawn out, both in terms of the vocalizations, but also just the cadences of the lyrics is really drawn out. And in contrast to Last Call, which felt like this like moment of let's just keep moving, let's just keep going, because if we stop, we're going to start thinking about all the things again, and we can't do that, okay? Whereas like this one feels more of a, okay, I've settled a little bit more. I've made my peace a little bit more with what I've gone through and the new person that I am on the other side of it. And I can slow down, right? I can take a breath and actually look around and see that everything isn't as terrible as it felt like it was. And we go back for soul vocals. 모두 외면했었던 우리 짰던 너에게로 마지막이 반석 그때 네가 나를 봤어 다시 왔지 반전 붕붕 출발선 타타 타올라 머리끝까지 차올라 우린 지금 빗었어. Ooh, that like feel with the production, but also the like with the like vroom vroom. That's so cute. I love that. I love it. He's just so cute. Okay, love him. And hey, let it be known that I accidentally discovered them when they debuted. I don't have any groups where I can say that except P1Harmony, and it was completely by accident. But you know what? Sometimes fate intervenes. But I love them like saying go back to the beginning, and this feels having the peaceful before, right? Like bringing in peace, bringing in their fans, of them being like, I wish like we could go back to this moment of, hey, we didn't have to deal with all the baggage that comes along with like success and having done a bunch of stuff, right? I feel like the more successful they get, and I've talked about how every comeback that they have, I get excited that more and more people are noticing them, and that's definitely happened more with the last couple of comebacks. But with that comes a lot of other stuff, right? Comes a lot more like scrutiny and attention, and even though you get more opportunities, you also start to see people in a different light, right? They start to show their real colors, and I think that goes back to what they were talking about in It's All Right, of, oh, you were always this way. I thought you were like this, but actually you've always been this person, and I just didn't know. And I think that is something that a lot of people deal with. The more successful that you get, the more you realize who is your actual friends and who aren't. And I think that them saying, oh, I wish we could go back to it, it was just like us and our fans and the people who were like really fans and saw us for who we are. And like when other people were ignoring us because we couldn't get them anywhere, right? Being associated with us wasn't a like card for them to get into the places they wanted to be. And therefore, the only people that were around us were people who like legitimately cared about the stuff that we were making. And I feel like that's their kind of call here of being like, oh, let's just focus on that feeling, right? Of who are the people that actually care about you. Even It's All Right, I was like, it feels like you're closing yourself off to everybody, including the ones that actually care about you. And this feels like them being like, oh no, I'm gonna focus on the people who actually care about me and open up to them and go back to that feeling of before I was hurt, before I felt like I needed to be defensive and close myself off. I'm gonna go back to that feeling that I had where I felt like I could trust the people who cared about me, right? I could trust that they cared. And even if I get hurt by other people, I'm smarter now. I know how to find the signs for that. I know how to see the people who actually care and the people that don't. Vocals. Kyo, please. Kyo, sir. Again, take seat. Let some of us have crumbs. That's all I'm asking. But I do like that it ends with his voice. Leader voice being like the last one. I mean, like, here we go again of, okay, next step, right? Let's go into the next thing. And I love that sentiment of, okay, here we go. Let's do this one more time. Let's try another time. And I think that is such a good sentiment to bring into this album. Again, with so much grungy darkness in the first few songs or the first couple of songs, to then shift into something that is, all right, I get that this is after everything is destroyed, after it feels like there's this cosmic shift, I'm going to have to rebuild. And this being like, okay, sure. Challenge accepted. Let's rebuild. Chapter 2, let's go. And I love having that sentiment. It has this like epic cinematic feeling to it, which I feel like fits with a lot of their stuff that they had like earlier on. But this having the feeling of harkening back to those roots, a little bit of a progression in their sound, but also this feeling of, okay, I could do this again. I remember the beginning. I remember being there. I remember having to build everything that I had before anyway. I'll build it again. And I'll do it better this time because I have all of the knowledge and more support. I know the people that I can trust, the people that I can't a lot better. It's a lot easier for me to spot them. And I know that I have a bit of a foundation there with the people that support me as opposed to earlier on. Okay, I can rebuild it again. I've done that before, especially for a group like them who don't come from one of the big companies, who have had to push a lot to get to where they're at and are just getting to the point where they're getting like awards and stuff like that, right? Getting invited to different performances. That's something that is in the more like recent comebacks for them. And they had a bunch of music before that. So they know what it's like to have to work to get to this point. And because of that, they're like, okay, sure. I need to put work in. I can do that. I know how to do that. So I love bringing some of that in. And again, some of the like fun little vocal moments, onomatopoeias and all of that coming in that is very much linked with their sound, right? Like it's something that I very much associate with their music. So I like some of that coming through too. And it just feels like uplifting and again, cinematic. It has that hero coming through again in their sound, which I really like. All You, which is the last song on the album that has all of the members, because we got a unit song at the end, which I'm very excited about. But this is kind of capping off the album, so I'm assuming this is gonna be for the fans song. All You. We just had the last song that's okay, I'm gonna remember my roots and what has got me to this point as we go into this next chapter. I feel like having a song that would be for the fans would be good. Do I just want a song for the fans? Was I listening to ICU earlier today and absolutely jamming out? Maybe I just like when we get a sweet song at the end of the album. The pictures are a little intense though. Ooh, okay. I'm settled. Love the like filter. Ooh, drums. Ooh, vocals. Deo. I need you to stop using your beautiful falsetto. I'm getting aggressive about it. This whole album, his falsetto is always gorgeous, but there are some hitting different in this album. Again, his voice has always been good. I don't know if it's just the way that they're arranging the melodies, the way that they're utilizing his voice, or if it's because of him practicing and all that. Probably all of the above. I need him to take a step back. Yeah, I need him to take several steps back. Like, they were getting something sweet, they were getting some a little bit jazzy, a little, especially with the filter at the beginning, having this like old-timey like record or radio sound to it. And I'm getting a cute love song at the end. That's all I wanted, but I'm feeling a lot of talent aggression right now. The pianos. Gorgeous. Oh my gosh, I love his cadence there, like the use of different sounds. Like we have the chi ki taka, right? Like that, having that sound, but also the boom da, and then the do pa min dun, the repetition of those D sounds. But then also in the Korean, we have the repetition of B sounds right here, and then the B, D, even like the G and the ga, right? That's also like ga, da, ba, ha, cha, ka, right? All of those sounds. That's so much fun. And then having these like M's and N's coming in that just have this like hum sound throughout it. Dun, right? And like boom, pa, right? So having all of that kind of hum in between those, that's such a fun line, and his delivery is so clean on that, especially since the feeling of, oh, what time is it, like alarm going off, by the time I'm even like stretching, like rubbing my eyes, like the sun has gone down, right? Because it's all you, right? Like the feeling of that, but if I'm late, you won't leave me alone. But I love having that, the cadence of that is so good. Oh, he's such a good performer. They go back for this vocal. Sir. That's so good. Ooh, sir.
You know.
The audacity for you to switch up the vocals like that and then say, you know, like that. Sir, child, magne, don't, no, thank you. That might be my favorite line.
You know.
We'll like walk down the instrumentation. Ooh. Kyo. We go back for soul vocals though, but Kyo hitting that note too. Cute. Ooh. There's so many fun things with this. One, shout out again to Peace. Hi. But then you get the one, it was like mixing on like the other side. Instead of it being stereo, it was mono on the one side. And then the hum, and it's all the lyric is like humming. And then it's all the like the layered vocals together. That's so fun.
네가 내 맘에 딱 반할 때서 부족한 네 맘에 내 반을 갖다 붙여 그냥 가벼운 말장난 몰라도 웃음만 튀어나오나 봐 너는 하나만 봐 only you a piece of my heart I've been looking for you 널 보면
But like you.
As boomerang 매번 돌고 돌아 다시 생각만 해 너를 느껴 It's the magic 너의 touch 자꾸 닮아가는 우린
Ooh, that stop. Of all the keys. Sir, I'm sorry, I interrupted. I love the piano keys though. Wait. Ooh, sir. Gorgeous. I know I'm interrupting in the middle of the chorus. We go back for soul vocals, especially since we are getting soul vocals on this song. I'm sorry. Are we getting like a good distribution of lines? Look, again, Soul's allowed to feel however he wants. If he wants to have lines, he could have lines. If he doesn't want to have lines, I support him, okay? I'm not here to judge. I am just here to give him my undying love, okay? But he's getting lines, right? We got like chorus lines, we got verse lines, like we go back. But I was like, Keel's gonna pop off the end of his line. I know him. I know he's gotta do something. And he did. He sounds beautiful. Like the R&B of this is so good. Ooh, like brass coming through. Oh, sorry. You ended with having Theo do that line again in that falsetto with the bass popping off. No. Don't make the song just for me. Ugh. I love that they give us like fun R&B, jazz inspired. Sometimes it's like city pop, right? It's just like fun love song moment of them being like a little send off at the end of their album. But I feel like it fits really well with this album specifically because the whole story of it is like going through the darkness at the beginning of this album and then getting into the second half of like, how do I recalibrate? How do I get back to who I am? And part of that is like remembering the people that care about you, right? That care about the stuff that you're making. Even it's all right at them being like, hey, I'm just going to close off because I can't handle being hurt again. And them just like pulling inward and escaping, being like, oh, I don't care what other people think. I don't wonder, who cares? And like I was saying before, there's the separation of I don't wonder, comma, who cares, of flippant. And then there's I don't wonder, who cares, of I'm closing myself off from the people who do legitimately care about me and want to support me. And then having this album cap off with the whole group, have a song that is about their fans. Hey, I remember back to the beginning, to the people who supported me because of the music, because of a shared dream, because of a shared passion for music. And it doesn't matter if you were there at the beginning or if you're catching up in retrospect. If you're here for that like core of, it's not about, oh, how many awards have they won? What numbers do they stream? It's not about those like external like success markers, right? And the stress and turmoil that can come with that. It's, do you like the music? Do you have fun listening to the music? Are you gonna come to a concert and have fun with us and sing along and dance and remind us of that connection with people? And that's like the reason that we're making stuff, right? And I love bringing that in, especially again with having their first full-length album before this. Huge milestone for them. Lots of stuff came out of that, but also there's a lot of, the bigger you get, the greater the fall, right? There's definitely lots of other things that come along with the pressures of success. And I really love getting to have a song like this that they usually have at the end of their albums. Again, remembering their roots, right? This is something that has become a pattern in their albums, but also it feels very pointed in this of, hey, thank you for continuing to show us love and support and reminding us of why we're doing the things that we are. WASP. Now, this is probably the song that I have the most hype for going into this album, because it's like our first like official unit, right? And I'm just like, it's a big moment. Are we opening up a door for units? Because I am there for that. It's also our rappers, our powerhouses, but also like fun, humorous, like stuff that they bring into like their lyrical content, but also like ad libs and like little fun things that they put in the background. So I feel like maybe we'll get something fun. We've got like an orange and blue thing going on. I also don't know what like wasp would really mean, other than wasps are kind of terrible. I don't know. Sting? Maybe if you kick like a wasp's nest, it's like a bad thing, but it's also like in English, that's a saying of to intentionally cause trouble, right? Everyone knows if you kick a wasp nest, you're asking for trouble. So maybe, I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
I just said hive. The cough.
I'm struggling on a play. Truck birds on a play. Honey on them, swear the night suck your brain. Come on, I'll be the come on, I'll be the
I feel like my soul left my body between the production and like the darker sound. Love that we have honey, right? Bees, but then also wasp, right? The contrast of those, like sweet versus sting, like where's my hive? They even have a buzzing sound in the production. I don't even know how to recalibrate. I'm gonna be so honest. The production on this, it like whacked me in the face in a way that I was not prepared for. There's like a buzz to the bass.
Rush my face. I'm already knowing better more chill. Hey, good bunny, man, not chick. Happy to wear after. Cause I'm more gum, honey bait. So they got me cool butter. 움직여 rap, I'm got so butter. Don't be don't be ball. They go on and I just now got a propel on a trump bottle. We. some baba, go like shaman, on the corner, more Bahama. You get some butter, got the one. More gum, more chill.
I stopped being able to read lyrics. I don't even know where to start. Other than get rid of the food chain of, hey, stop like saying that you're like above me, or that there is like some way in which we're like competing on the same level, right? Of like bees versus wasps. That's like what it feels like. Oh, bees make honey, wasps don't. Wasps are all sting. You're a bee, I'm a wasp. That's like kind of what it feels like. Honeybees. Dang, it's like if you want to rap, write the lyrics quickly. I don't know who upset them, but I feel like we're wandering closer to like cypher territory, and I wasn't ready for that. I knew that this is like our like rappers, right? I knew that they were probably going to be going in a little bit of a different direction than a P1Harmony sound, because this is a unit. It gives them like a little bit more wiggle room to explore some things. Even this album, they've been exploring some different things. I wasn't ready for like full combat mode, right? Like I wasn't ready for them to like come out the gate ready to pick a fight. All of the little like sounds and stuff too, like I love the way they're like passing off. We're just like, we're literally picking fights, and I can't, especially like them talking about, I think there was one line, it was like, look at this kid having chunks of like young, debuted young, has been proving himself. He's so talented. It upsets me like a whole different level how talented he is, because I'm like, what was I doing at a young age? Not being that talented. So having this, oh, do you see this? And passing it off to the youngest, and him like coming through and being like, oh, look at this kid. Like definitely probably something that has been said to him multiple times. Like, what are you doing here? Especially as like a rapper, and some of the lyrics that he brings forth, some of the energy that he brings forth in the songs definitely has this like swagger and main character, and he definitely comes into the songs to add like a little bit more of that combativeness or aggression or bite to some of their songs. But he has a very confident delivery of it, even though he's like very precise in the way that he's performing it. Same with like Intak, right? Like he brings their energy kind of adds some of that aggression to some of the P1Harmony songs, right? In contrast to some of the gorgeous vocals that we get. So having them be like, probably they have had a harder time of proving themselves, but especially someone like Jungsub started super young to have that energy in the songs. A lot of people are probably like, oh, who's he to talk like that? Right? Who are you to be having that kind of confidence, talking like that, right? Like you're all talk, you don't have any bite. And then having a song like this of, oh, we're wasps. If you poke at the hive, if you kick the nest, you're going to get stung, and that's your fault, right? You knew it would happen and you did it anyway. So here it is. I was not ready. I'm delighted though. Like you bugs? The little laugh in his delivery. Ooh, love the trade-off. Fun delivery. Oh, wait, no, because we're gonna get to Jungsub verse. And I don't think I'm ready because Intak took me out a little bit. Jungsub's different, right? Like Intak always has a little bit of fun. There's a lot of fun energy to his. And again, I don't have a better way of describing this, so I apologize for like a mild language. Taking the piss out of something. Jungsub will ruin your life with the happiest, cheekiest smile on his face. You know what I mean? Jungsub will say something that will absolutely obliterate somebody and just have the sweetest smile on while he does it. And I am not ready for that energy on this kind of a song. Again, was not ready for full combat. We just had a sweet love song. Y'all were talking about how the piece of your heart fit perfectly with the piece of your heart with fans. And now y'all are being like this. And I just need a break. Okay, no, sir, take the floor. I'm like bracing for impact a little bit. Ooh, you're the meal? Dang, hold on. I like that we're getting like some trade up there. I like that he pulled back, honestly. I like that Jungsub was just nah. Like we've gotten some bite in some of his other parts of this, some fun delivery in it, and then in this he's just nah. It's a game of chicken, right? And I'm not going anywhere, so I'm gonna just wait it out. You don't have what it takes, right? I'm living in my hive. You want to kick it? You want to pick a fight? All right, I'm gonna just sit here and wait for it. That's honestly main character energy. I went to the mountain and came back, right? This idea of, oh, I've reached those heights. I've gone on that journey. I've fought and climbed and clawed my way to the top. And that is in of itself like this brag of I've earned where I'm at, right? Like I've earned the talent that I have, the success that I have, the skills that I have, right? All of that I've worked for and I've earned. I've climbed that mountain. But also came back has this feeling of, you think I won't come down there and remind you of who I am? Bet. Test it. Let's see what happens. And the way that he's doing it, like this really laid back, like sing song as well. Even the whack of, hey, like shooing away like bees and being like, oh, you're just bugs. You're just pests. You're just buzzing around me. You want so much attention and I don't have time. There's performances of this, right? There's like performances of them because I feel like I desperately need to see the energy of them performing this song.
드러낸 마음은 crazy 부지런히 방법 뱅해 첫내 아직 뭘 발라든지 빼야지 불났거든 우리야 긁어보면 저 공동이가 머리야 머리 발끝 나에게 너희 식사거든
But you're the meal, I'm so starving. I'm a little speechless. The production is crazy. Wow. I am actually a little bit speechless. I don't know what to do with that because not only do I feel like, again, digging into some of those darker tones, those grungier tones than what we've seen from P1Harmony up to this point, this album definitely feels like a little bit grungier, a little bit more they're like, okay, let's pull back some of the facade more, right? I feel like Killing It, they started to pull back some of those layers of what is the facade, how they present to themselves versus what's actually going on with them. And then this album feels more, let's pull back some more layers. Let's reveal some more of what we're actually feeling, what we're actually going through. And this song, again, it feels like we're leaning towards cypher territory. I'm like, that, I can't allow you to do that. No. It's someone who is perpetually collecting rappers. I cannot have you be like that. No. All right, y'all are already in the bias line. You don't need to prove nothing to me. So I need you to not do that. But also, if we're getting more unit stuff, what's that gonna be like? What? I'm just curious. I'm just curious for very important research reasons. Wow. No, I love the imagery in that. I love the sting to that, but also this feeling of pulled back, right? Of almost being like watching someone tire themselves out, right? Like watching someone like buzz around you, wanting all of that attention, wanting you to give them the time of day or like to see them as a threat. And you're like, you're just a bug. Like you're just a bee buzzing around me, trying to get close to, they're talking about like honey, right? I see them both as like honeybees. Oh, you make honey. I'm a wasp. I sting. The contrast there, but also trying to get at like honey as in you're trying to steal the success. You're trying to steal the like accolades that I've collected. I've worked, I've climbed the mountain to get to where I'm at, to have the success that I have. You don't get to just attach yourself to me and get to reap the rewards of that, right? And it goes back to what I was saying before of like having been hurt by somebody and realizing that, oh, you were always like this, right? This is always the person that you were. And I just didn't see those true colors because I didn't have something worth offering to you yet, right? I wasn't important enough for you to give me the time of day. And now that I am, you're showing me who you really are. And I don't have time for that, right? You want to pick that fight, you want to kick that nest, you want to see what happens? All right, come over here and try. And I love how it has that laid back feel, especially with like Jung's part. I was expecting him to like go off, and instead I'm gonna lay back and have a very singing cadence to this, because if you want to pick a fight, you're gonna walk into my house and you're gonna pick that fight because I don't have time for you. I'm not gonna put an effort. You're not worth it. What a way to just give us a little treat at the end of this album. So I think it's pretty safe to say that I loved the album. P1Harmony, I already adore them, but we've been here for an absolute eternity. But I also feel like there were so many things that I loved in that album. I feel like the more that they grow as artists, the more that they start to step in to writing music and being a part of the stories that they're trying to tell. I'm pretty sure that Jung had quite a bit of writing stuff in this. I'll have to look a bunch of stuff up afterwards, clarify that. The more that they get to tell their stories, or they settle more into how they want to explore expressing themselves, because they don't have that kind of initial needing to prove yourself that I feel like they had for a while. Of now that they're starting to get some of that recognition, now they're starting to win awards and go to award shows and have these performances, that they're starting to be a little bit more experimental with what they're doing, because there's less of that need to get your foot in the door that they had before. And having their first full-length album, I feel, opened up a lot of doors for that. Not only because it's like you get to fit a lot more narrative into a full-length album than an EP, but also it means that, oh, we've done that now. There's a little more security to their careers, and in that there's some of the turmoil that they talk about in the lyrics of this, but it also means that they get to dig into some of those topics a little bit more and experiment with different influences and bring that into the instrumentation and have things like units and start to explore some other stuff in their career, right? Because they're like, okay, we've walked into chapter 2, what are we going to do with that? And I was really excited to get to this album because of that. I was excited to see what they were going to do, because it very much felt like going through Killin' It that they were bringing together a lot of the stuff that they had built up to that point, and what do you do walking into the next album? So I love that this deviated a lot from some of their other stuff while still keeping some of the core there. I think that they all really impressed me vocally. They had some fun with it, and also some stuff that I'm like, ooh, okay, digging into some heavy stuff, and so bringing it back to some of the things that I expect sonically and structure-wise with the album, harkening back to their previous stuff of saying, yes, we're walking into the next chapter. Yes, we're going to be doing other things, and we're going to continue to evolve, but we still remember where we started. We still remember like why we're here. We still remember why people are fans of us. This is a evolution, not like a complete 180 new moment, right? So I'm gonna have to listen to this album a lot. I feel, again, maybe my new favorite song on this album, maybe. I feel like I need to give Mirror Mirror a fair chance. Listen to their stuff a little more on shuffle before I make that proper decision. But I did feel like crying from like the pure overwhelm of how much I adored it. So who knows? We'll have to reconvene on that one. But I hope you enjoyed listening to that along with me. You can click this playlist to get to my previous reactions, or you can subscribe to me next time I post a P1 Harmony reaction. I will see you in the next video. Bye.